All right, welcome all of my friends back to the wonderful land of Shulin on our wonderfully, incredibly, extendedly long field trip to Shulin. Still our castle stands so great behind me, and still the geese fly. Excellent. We're gonna go ahead and skip roll today because you're either here or you're not.
Oh, we'll do it real fast. If you're here, raise your hand.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Here!
Yeah. Looks
Excellent.
like everybody's here today, so
Yeah, I saw them all. Excellent. So as you can see, today I am on my beautiful, friendly steed, Sophia. She is a beautiful steed. Now the reason why I am on my beautiful steed, Sophia, is because today we will be learning about the Mongolian Empire. You may or may not have heard about them. You may or may not have heard about the guy who started that Mongolian Empire. And why horses is because they loved their horses and they were very important to them, but we'll get back to that later. So, it was started by Genghis Khan, or sometimes they call him Chinggis Khan, just depending on how you want to pronounce it or what you think is the best pronunciation. For a long time it's been Genghis Khan, but I've recently heard that it's actually pronounced Chinggis Khan. So Chinggis Khan, Genghis Khan, either way, he started this great Mongolian empire in 1206. It lasted to 1368, so that's quite a decent amount of time.
It got really, really big during this time. As a matter of fact, at its biggest, it was 9,300,000 square miles.
Actually.
And we're going to show you that on a map in just a little bit.
That means it went all the way from China, all the way across China, all the way across Russia, all the way across Kazakhstan, all the way into the depths of Europe.
Now, the Mongolians were very, very famous because they were the most famous users of the composite bow. Now, what a composite bow is a composite bow is a bow made up of multiple parts. Their composite bow used animal parts.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And they rode their nice, wonderful steeds while shooting off their steeds using these wonderful bows that they made of. And some of the different materials. So a composite bow means that it's made of different materials, specifically animal parts. It used bamboo, animal horn, sinew, and animal glue. So if you crush up the hooves of some animals or their horns, you can make an animal glue.
So now the Mongolians had something very unique about their style of archery. Now, I want everybody to raise up the 3 fingers we normally shoot archery with.
Ta-da!
Now, I want everybody to make a thumbs up.
Thumb!
That is actually the only finger that they used to pull the string back with. So what they would do is they would take their thumb, hook it around the string, grab the rest of it in their fist, and pull it back to their anchor point. And yes, they also had anchor points like we do.
And then they would release from there while riding horseback. So they're going to be galloping up and down on their horses while trying to shoot their enemy, which made them a very mobile force on horseback that they would be able to attack with a ranged weapon while on horseback. The Khans were chosen by tribal leaders in kind of an election type system. So they'd all get together and they'd choose the next Khan.
So this was called an electoral monarchy. And what made this style of governing a problem for them was once they got as big as they did, once they reigned from China all the way to Europe, it meant that every single tribal leader had to come back to Mongolia to vote on the new Khan. So if it took you a year to travel from Mongolia to Russia and then back, you're not going to go much farther than that, are you?
Exactly. So that meant that once their empire had expanded all the way from China and all the way into the heart of Europe, it became very difficult to come up with a way to choose the next monarch. And seeing that they're a warring empire, if one of the monarchs would go ahead and be defeated in battle and die, they would need a new one, and then it would take a long time. So this meant that the empire couldn't keep expanding because they continued to have internal turmoil on choosing the next important guy. Now, another thing that helped them not be able to go deeper into Europe, we always hear about the Golden Horde coming into Europe and it being a great problem for all the European countries in there because they were always being defeated by the Mongols at the very beginning because they used their horseback, bow, and arrow as a combination. However, the Europeans lucked out. Eventually, they discovered something, a weakness to the Mongols' army strategy because the bow was made out of animal parts and glued together from many different parts instead of one stick to make that bow and arrow. Whenever it would rain, the Mongols would never go into battle because if they would go into battle while it was raining, their bows would get wet and this would cause the glue to delaminate, so their bows would essentially fall apart. So the European army started to use this to their advantage, and the Mongolian Empire was not able to push and basically conquer all of Europe, partly because of this and their internal political struggles with choosing a new Khan and having to travel all the way back to the capital, way back in Mongolia. They are also very, very well known for their battle strategy on how they used their horses. They used them in a circle formation. They would all get in a big circle, go around and around and around and around in circles while shooting at the enemy. A lot like how the chariots would do it. And we're going to show you that out on the fields. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and show you a map to show you how big that Mongolian Empire was.
So as we can see, Mongolia is way over here, and it's pretty small by modern terms, but back in the 1200s, Genghis Khan decided that he wanted to expand the region by a lot more. So how they started is first they went up into Russia, and they conquered all of Siberia, and they started going this way. But they found it was also easy to go south as well, and they went over the map a little bit. There we go. They went down here, and they conquered most of the Middle East. I'm hoping above the Middle East here. Now, China was actually a huge problem for them. As you probably remember, the Great Wall of China was built for a reason. And that reason was to keep the Mongols out. Eventually, though, the wall didn't work because the Chinese stopped putting manpower on the wall. So eventually, the Mongolians finally conquered China. Now, the reason that they never conquered Japan was because of something called a typhoon. They tried twice, and both times that they sailed their ship over to Japan, a weather anomaly happened, and a giant storm came and destroyed their boats. So they thought it was a sign from God not to go and take over Japan. So they stopped. Now they made it all the way over here to Europe, and that's eventually where the composite bow stopped being good because the weather climate changed so much that the composite bows started to fall apart. Now that we know this giant landmass, I need to go a little bit lower.
It's so big!
It's so big my hand can't even go that low. And that's where it is on a map. It is the second greatest empire ever by landmass.
Excellent. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll our wonderful map on up. We're going to go ahead and go out to the horse fields of Shulin, and we are going to have our own Mongolian battle in a circle formation. And once we get out there, we'll show you how that works. So, on 3, jump cut. 1, 2, 3, jump cut. All right, welcome out here to the battlefield of Shulin. Go ahead, zoom right in close on me real quick. right in there. Nope, just walk on in, just walk on in, just walk on in. Excellent. As you can see, I have my trusted steed right here. This is Buck. All right, this will be my trusted steed. Over here we have Lady Fern with Sophia. And over here we have Captain Crow and his trusted steed. What is your trusted steed's name?
Bruticus.
Bruticus over there. Now, as you can see, we have some cones out here. This is our circle. We will have to travel from one circle to another, to another, to another, and we're only allowed to shoot one arrow at our enemies, which will be ourselves, before we must move to another one. Now, once we get hit 5 times, we will have to go ahead and ride our horses out of the battlefield and let the other 2 competitors continue to compete until we are completely out of arrows or someone has won the battle. All right, so my competitors, are you ready?
Yeah!
Excellent. Camera, are you ready? Excellent. All right, you have to move to that first one on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
You are going down, Sir Robin.
Ah!
That is 1 hit on me.
Ah, that was my horse. That was my horse.
That was the bow.
Ah! Oh, that was
was you.
That was me. You got me.
That was my my arrow rest. Actually, it's gone now.
Ah! Ah!
Ah, that was me.
Yes!
Oh no.
Ah!
That was me. That's 3 on me.
Oh, that's 3 on me.
Oh.
That's 4. Ah! Ah! Almost down.
That's 4 on me.
Ah, that's 1. Ah, that's 2. You can't. That was no. I got you. That was 5. Ah, that was 3.
They hit my bow.
That was my horse.
This is much harder than it looks. Ah, that was my bow again.
Ah, that was 4.
Why is there a horse in the way? Ah, that was 5.
I think that was 5 on both of us. Woo.
All right. Our champion, come on over, Lady Fern. Excellent. So Lady Fern was our glorious Mongolian champion today. Big high fives. High fives. Oh, that was a bad high five. There we go. All right. We are going to go ahead and go back inside, and we're going to do our exercises with you, and we're going to talk about our homework for today. So on 3, jump cut. 1, 2, 3, jump cut. All right. So, welcome back to the castle of Schuland, or right outside. I know you may be confused how this horse got in so fast. This is Sophia. The other one was Sophie. You have to put the accent on the part. Now, joining me back on inside is Captain Crow, and we are going to be talking about the bow, specifically the parts of the bow. Now, there are quite a few different parts, And the reason we're talking about the parts of the bow is because your assignment for this week is to make your own bow at home out of whatever materials you might be able to find to duct tape it together or glue it together or whatever materials you might have. It could be real big, it could be really small. But because it's going to be made out of different materials, it's most likely going to be a composite bow, very much like the Mongols, because it's going to be made out of multiple materials. Okay? Now, parts of the bow, we have the upper limb. The upper limb, which is this upper part right here, which means the other side is the lower limb, because it's the lower limb. Okay? Now, we have our next part, which is the riser. And that's this red piece right here. Nice and easy. On this other bow, it's the black piece, okay? Now, we have the shelf, which is this part right here. Now, most ancient bows will have a shelf, and they won't have an arrow rest. So the arrow rest is kind of a modern invention to put the arrow on and to keep it nice and sturdy. Typically, an ancient type of bow will just have a shelf, and it'll actually have a very small shelf. And some bows might not even have a shelf themselves. What they'll actually have is a spot where you can put your finger, and your finger becomes the shelf of the bow. So it's not put on the bow, it's your finger. So you can either design your bow with a shelf and an arrow rest, or you could make it so that your finger has to be the shelf itself. All right, so the next part is the sight window. Now that is the cutout part right here, where the bow kind of is going straight and then it comes to one side, okay? On my bow, I have a right-handed shelf, so it's on the left side. On this bow over here, it has two shelves, one on each side, because it's ambidextrous. You can shoot it from either side, whichever side you prefer. Now, once again, the sight window, just like the shelf and the arrow rest, has been an invention of modern times where we have done it so that the arrow sits in the direct center of the bow instead of off to the side, like you'll see in, for instance, Robin Hood movie, where the arrow is actually a little bit to the side. Now, after that, we have a pretty easy one, which is the string. That's the part you pull it. Now, some ideas on what you could use for your string. Fishing line works pretty good. You could use yarn. If you have your limbs nice and tight, yarn will work.
An extra shoelace might even work.
A shoelace will also be a very good string. Historically, the strings of bows in medieval times or in Mongolian times would be made out of, sorry to say, the insides of, for instance, an animal. Typically something that has very stringy insides. So cats typically have insides that are very stringy and very, very string-like. So that's what they would be made out of. But yours could be made out of a shoelace, okay? All right, so the next piece we have is a knocking bead, and that is the spot where you clip your arrow on. Now, ours are normally metal. Yours could maybe just be, take a marker and color that part of the string so you know where it goes. It could also be a piece of plastic that you tie around it. In some different archery settings, they actually don't use metal ones. They actually tie some cellophane around the string because sometimes those knocking beads can fall off, what have you, and it's a little metal and you don't want it to hit anyone or fall off and hurt someone, so they actually use cellophane. So yours could, you could draw it on there with a marker. It's just an indicator, so if you color it a different color, you're indicating where the string needs to go. Or a string to tie a string will be perfect. We also have the next piece, which is the no glove. Now, mine does not have a no glove. A no glove is the rubber pieces right here, which are to protect your finger. Does yours need no gloves? Not necessarily. They are, once again, a modern invention to protect your fingers so you didn't have to use a glove when using really, really, really powerful bows. Now, typically, we're using bows that are only 14 pounds, which don't typically hurt your fingers very much. And after you do it a few times, you build up calluses. But if you're using a 55-pound bow, or you're using an English longbow, which is 180 pounds, or a Mongolian bow, which is very, very powerful, it's going to hurt your fingers. These nice rubber things would be very, very helpful. Or you would be wearing a glove. All right. The last thing, which is the serving. It is a special wrapping on the string so that it is thick enough to clip the arrow on so that it stays on.
And like how the serving, an easy way to remember that, guys, is if you've ever hit a ball in tennis, the very first person to do that, it's called a serve. So, like the tennis player serves the ball to the other opponent, on a bow, the serving serves the arrow to the target.
Exactly, exactly. It's there as a place to clip the arrow onto, and also to protect that area of the string, because that's the spot where you're touching it with your hands very much, and your hands have oil on there. And if you're in a battle in ancient times, it's going to have dirt and grime and sweat and grease on there, and that will eventually wear the rest of the string away. So this will protect it from that, as well as protect it from continuously knocking an arrow on there. So those are the parts of the bow. Your assignment for this week is to make your own bow out of different materials that you can find at home. Does it need to be a functioning bow? No, it doesn't need to be a functioning bow. As long as you get some of these parts so that it looks like a bow on there, that is the most important thing. So you can point to it and say what the different things are, okay? Take a picture of that and send it to me. If it is a working bow, that is my challenge to my older students, to get a bow that is actually a working bow. Now, one of the most important things about this is the part where I see people kind of make the biggest mistake on. The biggest mistake is deciding that the string itself needs to be the bungee part, You want the string to be something that is stiff, that doesn't actually stretch. This string right here will not stretch, but you want it to be tight enough that the bow limbs are the parts that are actually stretching. So if I were to de-string this, you see how it comes back this direction like this, okay? When I string it back up, it brings the tension down and bends that bow. So if you have a stick and you can bend it just a little bit and then put that string on there, that would be perfect. But you don't want a string that is dangling like this and then think that just because it is a stretchy string or it's big rubber band, it's going to work. It's typically not going to work like that. You're going to want something that is bending the limbs of the bow. So that is what you want. Now, if you're, once again, my older student and you're looking for something that is a working bow, a good idea for an arrow is to choose something light. So you don't have to make a very strong bow. You don't necessarily want to get some really big sticks out there. So a good idea is if you just take some straws, okay, and you tape them together. You can take 2 or 3 straws, tape them together, put a weight, a small maybe weight at the end, maybe a piece of clay or some like cardboard point on it, and then just bend the back of it. It's going to be very light and it should travel, and you could bend it so that it clips on a fishing line very easily. And remember, if it doesn't clip on all the way, but you can hold it on and pull it back, that will work as well. Our bows that we use in class are very advanced and they clip on. Yours does not have to clip on. If you hold it and you pinch it and pull it back, that will work just fine. So, one, if you're in my younger student class, feel free to have a bow that looks like a bow. Don't worry too much about making it work. My older students, make sure you're trying to get one that is a functioning bow. At least it shoots at a couple feet or so, okay? And show me what that looks like. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way, and me and Captain Crow are gonna go ahead and do some of our exercises. I'm gonna go ahead and move Sophia out of our way here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with some good old arm stretches. So this arm right here, and you're gonna go across, and you're gonna go ahead and push it back, and you're stretching this muscle right here. There we go, and we're gonna count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
10.
10. Yay! All right, go ahead, wiggle that on out. Switch to the other one. All right, here we go. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh wait, that's too many. Good, excellent. All right, go ahead, one arm up. We're gonna go across like this, and we're gonna pull it down. On this one, make sure you're looking straight up. Don't look down at the ground. Here we go. Ready, and 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
Excellent. All right, shake it on out. Move to that next one. Here we go. Ready, and go.
1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9.
10.
Woo.
Excellent. All right, shake that on out. We're gonna do some good old arm circles now. So hands straight out like this. We're gonna make little tiny circles going forward. Here we go. For 10 seconds, ready and go. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12.
Excellent. Now we're gonna go backwards. Ready and go. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
10. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and reach to touch our toesy woesies. Touching them toesy woesies. Ready, and 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12.
That's good. Excellent. All right, shake that on out. Now we're gonna go ahead and get our bodies moving with some running in place. Here we go. Ready, set, go. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
10. Excellent. Good. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do some high knees. So we want to get our knees as high as we can go. Here we go. For 10 seconds, very, very high knees. Ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Very, very good. Whew. All right. Lost my hat there, Captain Crow.
I know.
All right.
Everywhere.
Jumping jacks. All right.
I don't know if there's enough room for the both of us.
Oh.
And I need to tie my shoes. So.
All right. 10 jumping jacks just for me. All right. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. All right. Excellent. Good 10 jumping jacks. All right. Now we're going to do my favorite, which is going to be some burpees. And I am feeling pretty good, and my hand is feeling pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and do 10 burpees. Now, like I said, my hand is feeling a lot better, so I'm going to go ahead and just do 5 of them. I don't want to overwork it and do more than that, but I encourage you guys to do more than that because my hand was recently broken and I don't want to overwork it. Okay, so we're going to do 5 up here.
It looks like there's not enough room for me again, so.
There's never enough room for Captain Crow. So I'm going to go ahead and do 5, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. So here we go. Ready and go.
1,
1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
Ah, there we go. It only hurts my hand a little bit. All right. Now, my double favorite, push-ups. All right, so we'll go ahead and get on down for some push-ups. Here we go. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yay!
Ah, those are hard push-ups.
Woo, those are grab Sophia and bring her back on in. Captain Crow, why don't you go ahead? Grab yourself.
Got me.
Excellent. All right.
Can I stop grabbing myself now?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
All right. Now that I'm back with good old Sophia, we're going to go ahead and recap our day. We learned about the great Mongolian Empire, but there is more to know about it. So, in addition to making your own bow, I'm giving you a little bit of a research assignment. I'm looking for 5 interesting facts about the Mongolian Empire. Something different than what we already talked about today. In addition to making your own bow. So, I hope to see everyone's wonderful projects next week. And until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm so tired. All right, let's go ahead and put our hands in. On 3, applesauce. 1, 2, 3, applesauce!